Good morning, everyone. Welcome to American Scousers, morning coffee or tea with American Scouser on a Monday morning where Grumpy is in the house. Nothing to be grumpy about except Mateusz's understanding of defending, which we will get to in a little bit over here. He just got me grumpy right before we went on air because he's trying to feed me the same crap that Angel was yesterday, and I'm not buying it, damn it. But it's been a great weekend. Sergi, Alan, good morning, everyone, as the people gather around with the cups of coffee and tea. Dude, this is amazing, though, by the way. We have probably done this. We should do the show every Monday morning. It's odd because this is a year, dude, I like at least 4 or 5 times within the last few months, we've come on Monday and we were like, that was an awesome weekend. Like in terms of us winning, them losing, or whatever it's been. You could not have planned it any better going into this weekend.
No, it's fantastic. And it just sets up for a great week. And it softens the blows of potential other games, right? I mean, I hate to bring it up, but I don't think anyone really cares about Plymouth anymore outside of Aaron. And I don't know how many people cared afterwards anyway. But yeah, it's just it's a great weekend. Absolutely love it.
I mean, I don't know. I feel like you couldn't even dream of this. Like when we were talking, I think it was Friday, we were talking about like the West Ham game. Are we expecting anything similar to like the Leicester conversation before? And again, I really did not expect anything. It's the Premier League and you never know and stuff like that. But I mean, them losing at home was not something that I think anybody expected.
Yeah, I think and we talk about mentality, and that is such a huge dagger through the gut for that entire club. I mean, even just to not get a result at home. I mean, if it was away at West Ham, fine. That's something that you might be able to swallow a little bit easier if you don't get the result. But at home, and I understand they're missing a striker, and we played Curtis Jones up top, so there's ways you can play without a striker and still make it look good, evidently. So it's tough for them. I think those who needed convincing that the title run is over for them have been convinced, because I think I can finally sit here and say it's happening. I think it's happening.
I mean, their fan base is even more insufferable than ours in general, like when things go bad. And they were already waiting. And I don't, honestly, in this one, I don't blame them. It reminds me of the time where we were like, we need a center back. It's pretty darn clear over here. We need a center back. I remember that January, the famous Ben Davies one. But Anthrop says, welcome aboard, sir. Anfield is going to be bouncing on Wednesday. Yeah, I mean, hey, it is going to be bouncing because both Anand and Barak are going to be there. So that should be enough by itself. We're representing American Scouts at Anfield this Wednesday. Why, like the fact that we're sending those, not that we're sending them, mind you, but of all people, those two are going to be the ones representing us is a little scary. But what you can do, De Bruyne did look like, I mean, that's another thing. Like you look at City this weekend, it looks pretty sad. But let's go back to the Arsenal fans, because it's a joy to talk about them. And I was actually on a podcast with Footy Fantasy yesterday, so shout out to those guys. Fun group there, and they have like good banter. It's all different teams represented, and it was like representing Liverpool. A great day to go on air on a show like that and just gloat. And because there was an Arsenal fan and a United fan. But yeah, I mean, Arsenal fans, I don't blame him. It does remind me of the time where we knew we needed a center back. We didn't do anything. We bought the hologram, that's Ben Davies, that never showed up, and then Kabak at the end and stuff. But they knew they needed a forward or a striker to be in it. Do you think that was them semi-throwing in the towel then by not doing anything? Because that's not even like a roll of the dice. It's just a sad, like, it's almost like, yeah, I don't think it's going to happen. We're not going to overpay by 20-30 million just to die.
It could be a little bit of both. I think, when you're looking at a market, especially the January market, it's going to be 9 out of 10 times it's going to be an overpay, because teams don't want certain players to leave during the season, obviously, right? But at that time, Havertz was still healthy, right? He wasn't out for a long time until February, until after the deadline. So It's not like they didn't have a plan. I think the plan was to have Havertz as the 9, and then, kind of work around there and wait till other guys come back. And it's just, unfortunately, that didn't work out. But I don't think it was necessarily throwing in the white towel, but I do think that they weren't going to overspend just for the sake of overspending, since they had a plan in Havertz. That's just my guess.
Here's my thing, though, and this is what drives me nuts about like Arsenal fans. This illusion that's been created that this team was like a ridiculously free-flowing, high goal-scoring team and stuff. They scored 80% of their goals from corner kicks. So this was it was like corner kick FC like 2-3 months ago. So it's not like, oh, when everybody was healthy, we were clicking up top or something like that. So I don't understand. Now I know that excuse is there, but everything was relied on set pieces. I have never seen a set piece coach of a team. So it was almost like Arteta was sitting down and the dude was standing up most of the games and stuff like that, which drives me nuts, by the way, because even in youth soccer, this is like one thing that really drives me nuts is like coaches, especially these like set piece coaches and stuff like that. I saw another team the other day. Sit your ass down. You should have practiced this during the week. These are not like 4-year-olds that you're trying to put in place now. You either practice this and everybody knows what needs to be done, like what we did yesterday.
Without a set piece coach.
Yeah, or you don't, right? Yeah, but I mean, I didn't see our set piece coach in the sideline like moving people around.
Because we don't have one.
We don't have one?
We don't have one.
They did say they practiced this yesterday.
They did, but we didn't.
The most I was talking about it.
We don't have a specific set piece coach because the visa is still getting worked out. So
we gotta get that guy on the sideline. I mean, the world should know. Like,
do we? Apparently, we don't.
Why this is such suddenly? Look, set piece is becoming a huge part of the game. I get, but like
it's always been a huge part of the game, though, right?
I mean, but you don't get you don't get the guy. Like, I never seen another sideline apart from the guy who's always in Eddie Howe's pockets, like standing next to him, holding his freaking like pants up. Apart from that, I don't see any other coach. But recently, suddenly you're seeing all these like special teams coaches, if you will, just like suddenly show themselves, dude, what are you doing all week that you have to tell them now where to go?
Well, I mean, you could say the same thing with the actual coaches then, just to play devil's advocate. You worked on a plan the entire week. Why do you have to stand there in technical box and tell?
But you're making adjustments on the fly and stuff, right?
Set piece coach could be making an adjustment.
Don't make an adjustment. You know what? Tell the freaking manager. No, you're not going to sell me on this. You're going to get me going on this.
I also love the fact that Arsenal fans, they came into the season rightly so, I think excited for the year, because I think they had a realistic chance of maybe winning the title based off of last year, right? Yeah. They came in, they finished second, they had a great squad, right? And they added a little bit of depth, which is what they needed, right? They added Marino, they added Calafiori, where they had little pieces, they added Sterling, little pieces that they added to this. And so Arsenal fans were very high on this team and all the depth. And then now I've seen comments from Arsenal fans saying, well, I mean, our team was just never that good, and Slot inherited a really good team. It's like, you can't have one or the other.
Yeah.
You can't finish second, say that you're going to be in a title race, and then 4 months later say, oh, no, we just didn't have the players, and Slot, he just inherited a good team. That's all he did. So it's pretty funny to see how we've come.
I mean, I guess, we would, dude, can you imagine, though, like, all these years that we battle City, suddenly, I don't know, City gets a punishment or Peppa's gone or something like that. They're gone. We're like, all right, we're going to cruise now. And then you look around, you're like, Chelsea comes and wins. And you're like, what the hell? That was ours. Like, we were supposed to win. It's like, I can understand the frustration. I'm just like, they're trying to, at the same time, come up with these storylines that were never true. Like, they were never a free-flowing, high-scoring team, even before. So now it's exposed even more, I think. Or it's something to fall back on. Like before, when they couldn't score and they had to get it from the corner kicks by pushing the goalie around and stuff like that, which I'm assuming, as you watch tape, if you will, and then teams have adjusted to some of the things they're doing. So the guy has to come up with new stuff over the summer, right? And so it's not as effective as it was. I mean, it was almost like taking penalty kicks in the beginning for a while, but that was their thing. That's how they broke deadlocks throughout the season. So now coming up with the storyline of, oh, we don't have strikers, that's why we don't score. You still have corner kicks because that's how we were scoring before, and I'm not just like buying that. I mean, I understand the injuries. Look, if we had like Mowat, like they have Saka out or something like that, I can understand the impact it would do. But I don't know. I feel like it has become
The
too
argument
much
isn't the
of something to
same.
fall back on.
The argument isn't the same, right? Because like you're saying, you can't have one and then try and have the other as well. If you are talking about the amount of goals you scored last year as a whole piece, and then your problem this year is that you're not scoring goals because you don't have a striker, that's not a consistent argument because you had the same situation last year. It's just that you had other pieces. You had your wingers that make everyone else look good. You had Saka, you had Martinelli, you have Trossard, who score and who actually provide the goals. And so that hasn't changed.
I mean, so this says, I think Arteta bottled it. Spent so much money since he's been in charge. They spent on a striker and still didn't win anything. He wouldn't have any excuses. I think, the thing that kills me about Arteta is, his freaking, apart from his Lego head, the fact that, and I've said this before, if you bring your old dudes to a new team, you would think those would be some key pieces in your new team. Like if I go to another channel and if I'm like, oh, I got to bring this Polish prince here with me, I don't know why I would do that, but let's say I did, I would expect, because what I want, what we're after and all that kind of stuff, how the system works, blah, blah, blah. I mean, he brought Zinchenko, which he throws in like this weekend as a midfield option somehow. He brought Sterling, which, I mean, when you're starting a defensive midfielder over Sterling up top, that tells you everything you need to know. And he brought whiny face Jesus over there. So, like, he spent money. It's just, I think it almost gets hidden with Arsenal. I know it's not, United's kind of money wasting going on, but still, they have spent a lot of money. It seemed wiser because they only, they did 2-3 at a time. They didn't do the Chelsea thing of buying like 85 people at the same time. But it's not like they haven't spent money. You could argue instead of getting Merino, they could have probably spent money on a striker. I think the main issue becomes, what Sorzi is saying is strikers are freaking expensive.
Mm-hmm.
You can get like a good defensive and midfield option for, even a high-end one for 30, 40. But to get a top striker, it starts probably at 70, 80, 90 million.
Yeah, but then you can't say that you can't sit here and say that they're spending too much money and then say that they can't buy one because it's too much money. I mean, you have to spend the money. So then,
yeah,
I mean, it is, I don't know. It's a frustrating thing to see, I'm sure, for them. I mean, I will give credit to Arteta a little bit because he did come in when Arsenal were in a rough place, right? I mean, they went through a very tumultuous spot for half the decade, right? And to be able to get them to at least be competing for top four consistently, I mean, if anything, that's just something to give him credit for. It's just that the fan base makes everything else really easy to root against. So I think it'll be interesting to see what happens this summer. I think we'll see a lot of movement from Arsenal this summer, as well as Liverpool. I think and City too. I think this summer is going to be very interesting because there's going to be a lot of moving pieces. You've got your Liverpool core and your City core that are kind of aging out, if you will, and so you have to see what happens with that. And then you have your Arsenals and Chelseas that have purchased a lot of youth that may need to be moved around. So it'll be interesting to see.
With like Arteta, I mean, is he the guy? Like, if he doesn't win anything again, and it does. I mean, obviously the league seems semi out of reach, so we'll get back to that. But I mean, I don't see this team being good in the Champions League because I think they have PSV, so they were lucky to get an easier draw. But then the next one is one of the Madrid guys, it's Atletico or Real. So I think he's done well in terms of like getting it into where it should be. I honestly give more credit to the fact that the board has kind of stuck with him. Like they haven't been like, this isn't working and switch around like Chelsea constantly does or United constantly does. But is he the guy before the guy? Like we see it in American sports all the time too. The guy comes in, changes the culture, makes everything better, but he's always like, getting eliminated in the playoffs and stuff like that. And a new dude comes in and suddenly, boom, they win the title? Is he the guy before the guy?
He very well could be. I think we would have expected more in the last 2 years, something to show for it if he was the guy. So I do think we're approaching that closer and closer. Yeah.
Which, more power to him. But let's talk about our boys more than their boys. Because, I mean, it was when we talked about in the pre-match, the lineup and stuff like that, and listening to Slot afterwards, sounds like your boy Jota was not 100% ready to go. And neither is Gakpo. And they said, as I've been saying it for months over here, Nunez can't press properly or defend properly. He just doesn't. He can't. Like what we did yesterday is impossible with Nunez, because in terms of keeping shape, who should go where, you go here, now I step up to this guy and stuff like that. Yeah, it's going to take him like 5 years of schooling for Nunez to get that. So he's not an option. But the way it's worked out, we're not used to watching Liverpool say, you guys can have the ball for almost like the entire game. There are, 5 minutes, 10 minutes in a game where we're kind of like trying to control the game and stuff like that. And it's like, okay, let's settle back here first and defend a little bit kind of a thing. But the entire second half felt like in a loop. But it's weird to watch this team not have the ball, but have like a comfortable win, which is so freaking weird.
Yeah, I think I made a comment in the Discord. It almost felt like a preseason game at times. It felt too comfortable. It felt like something like someone was going to come up from behind the curtain and prank us. Go, oh, actually, the score is 4-2. You just haven't seen the balls go in, right? Because we were taking in so much pressure, but at the same time, it never felt like we were going to concede. I know like the last 10-ish, 15 minutes, I think maybe I was a little bit more nervous than the first 65, 70, 75 minutes. But that's only because, it's one of those 2-0 leads towards the end of the game. With one goes in, everything changes kind of thing. But even at that point, it felt way too comfortable. And I know Slot said after the match that, we're a team that we want to be in possession. We like to be in possession. So I don't think he necessarily wanted to be out of possession as much as we were. But the way that we did play out of possession was probably exactly how he wanted us to play, even with Trent forcing Doku outside.
Okay, let's get to that, because I don't think you guys understand how this works, how any of this works. Because aside from, here's the thing though, by the way, like if I understand what you mean, the last 10 minutes and stuff like that, but I think, like you said, that's us being fans. If you're a City fan, you're probably like, okay, like we have the ball, but we're not doing anything with it, is probably what you would think, aside from when they came along the wing with Doku against Trent, and Trent, in regular Trent fashion, was extremely poor defending. And some of the things that Trent does, defending wise, just literally blows my mind. Like, I just don't, it frustrates the hell out of me. I was telling Angel, it's like UH shit that he does. And you see, put this on the screen. So let's take a look at this first. Because, and then you can make a case for whatever the hell that you guys are talking about. But dribble pass by opponent, what is this? Most in a
match since the 2015 season.
11 times. But you're trying to sell me that he was pushing him out.
Okay. I don't think the goal as a defender is to ever be dribbled past. But if you're going to be dribbled past, you force the attacker to dribble to the side that he's least comfortable in. In Doku's situation, it was to the left, to the outside, right? The only times that Doku I felt looked threatening at all was when he was cutting inside. And very much it seemed by design to have a cover for Trent through Konate and through Gravenberch and through Salah, even to have Doku not cut inside to force him outside, because then a lot of the time from build-up then was between Konate and Virgil to give the ball to Trent to then make the next progressive pass, which we saw in that second goal. So I think the focus was to force Doku outside. It just happened to be that Doku is still, I mean, he's a fantastic dribbler with no end product, right? But the goal was to force him outside. It just happened to be that he got past Trent, but there was no end product there.
Okay.
I don't know why you're shaking your head.
So that's not thanks to Trent. Like Ozzy was trying to sell me that, because he was leaning on him and stuff. if you have a guy in front of you, okay, if you're defending as a right back, if you have a guy in front of you and you have help, and he did have help a lot of the times, if you help inside, right, that guy should never beat you to the end line. Pushing a guy outside, because Angel was trying to sell me this yesterday. So it's so funny that you say the same thing this morning. And this is exactly what I told her. Pushing a guy outside is, let's go check out the corner flag together. Right? Let's see if it's where it's at. And you go to the corner flag together. That's pushing a guy outside to the line where he's like, I'm not going anywhere. He has to come back and he has to try to recycle the ball. Pushing the guy together is not, why don't you beat me to the line over here? And you should never be beat to the line when you know there is help inside, because you know the guy can't cut in. You have help inside. So there's zero excuse for you to let a guy beat you to the line. I don't care how fast he is, because you know where he's going. He can only go this way. If I know you can only go this way, you're very easy to defend. And you can teach 8-year-olds, right? When a striker or a winger or whatever is dancing in front of you with the ball, you just let him fucking dance. You can dance. You dance over there, dude. Watch Mo defend Doku, because Mo knows, because he's a winger, right? So Mo comes over there. Doku is dancing. Mo is just standing there. Whenever you're done dancing, bro, we'll just keep playing, because the winger wants you to jump in. So it's almost like a, like a magic trick, right? They're just like moving there, and then you're like, oh, I got it right there. You're like, nope, it's not. It's under this cup, kind of a thing. And that's what they want you to do. And how Trent, a pro, dove in over and over and over again. That shit is not excusable. I'm sorry. He's like, oh, he didn't have help, blah, blah, blah. That shit is not excusable. You shouldn't be never, ever diving unless you're getting the ball. You're positive you're going to get at least some kind of a touch on the ball. Every time Doko was dancing, he freaking dove in. And every single time, I think twice he got it, but clearly 11 times he got dribbled past. And just because Doku sucks once he goes to the end line, and honestly, over there, as much as Doku sucks, I think the credit goes to like McAllister, Gravenberg, and Konate and Van Dijk, whichever side you're looking at. He got that ball in. And like, if you're pushing a guy outside, he should never be able to get the cross in, because then, even if you're not there, he's going to cross it anyway. So what are you doing over there? Just waste of space. So I am not buying this pushing outside thing at all.
But you switch him with Connor Bradley, we don't get that second goal.
What?
I'm just saying the things that you get from Trent.
Yeah, I'm kind of sick of this though. Like
I know,
I
get
understand that, but you can't still have a 5-year-old playing there defending. Like, he's 5 when he's defending, he's 25 when he's attacking. I just don't understand that. I feel if I'm the rest of his team, that would get so old, and you can only live up with that. I mean, you're a basketball guy. We'll put some more of your footage up here in a little bit because you made a pass. But it's not. You can't have a guy who shoots like Harden but never defends, because you never win like that. I mean, I realize this is a different sport. More people to cover your errors. But man, I'm gonna cover your error only so many times. Like I say, when you make childish mistakes, that's what gets to me. I love the dude. I love what he does. And like, he's the scouts from our team. We were watching something with Ainge the other day, like his first time playing. He looks like he's 5, but now he defends like he's 5. So there's that. But I just find that stuff so inexcusable, dude. Like, it just really, really irritates me when a pro plays like, because to me, it looks like you don't give a damn if you defend like a 5-year-old.
I get that. And, I'm not going to sit here and say that I'm gloating about the fact that he was dribbled past 11 times.
That's by design.
Because that is when you put up those other names on there to see kind of exactly who else is on that list. That's just me. And Timochin is gone. So this is my show now. So I welcome everyone to my show.
Sorry, yeah, I clicked the wrong thing. I was actually trying to put the other names on the screen.
Yeah.
Instead, I just
so yeah. I mean, when your company for defensive work rate is Lewis Cook, Britton, and Pablo Fornals, it's probably not a great group to be a part of. But the only thing that I'm saying is I know it's not by design to get beat 11 times, but if you're gonna get beat, you get beat to the outside, where then you have Kanate being an absolute monster yesterday, cleaning up every cross. You have McAllister Gravenberch helping out as well. I think, Slot very much, it was one of those, if we're going to get beat, it's going to be beat through the outside with a cross, because City, honestly, they play so boring now. It's all just recycled around the wings and crossed in. That's all it is. There isn't any inventiveness to it anymore. There's no inventiveness to it anymore, and it's just boring. And we saw that was what they were going to do, just play from the wings and cross and just hope for the best, really, is what it looked like. And without Holland in there, who are you crossing towards? Marmouche? I mean, he's much better through the ground than through the air.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's all in all just a comfortable win. I know we don't want to see that on the wing happen against Doku, but, at the end of the day, 2-0 is 2-0, right? You kind of just have to take that.
Oh, yeah. I mean, overall performance-wise, really, like, if you look at across the board, aside from Trent, I did not see. And then, he sends like another pass, but then he sends some passes that you can see he's frustrated. He knows, okay, I'm kind of like sucking at this, so I got to do what I'm good at. And that's when he like sometimes forces things and he turns the ball over and stuff like that. But then there's a couple of passes he does. Like when he doesn't force the pass, like when he sees the pass and he sends it, dude is so good that the ball gets there the way it should get there. Like anybody can get the ball to a certain spot, but it gets there where it can be controlled, or it's in front of their running lane and stuff like that. And, like the speed he puts on the ball and stuff. He's like a wizard in passing. But I guess my thing is, it's almost like he has given up defending. And that just kills me. He's like, I'm not good at this. It is what it is. I give up. Like in the beginning of the season, when we were talking about, and Slot is like, like if you turned your butts 10 degrees right, you would actually be a lot better defender and stuff. And it almost looks like, yeah, I tried all that. It just doesn't work. I don't think I'm going to be defending anymore. I'm just going to be, but I love to pass. So just give me the ball kind of a thing. And like I say, I think it's like a waste. Because if he really worked on his defending, if he really put focus on his defending, I really think he would be the player that we thought he was going to be 2-3 years ago. Obviously, he still is, because, Madrid is looking to fork out a lot of money for him. But I don't know, man. I just find it so frustrating when I see, to me, it's lack of effort, because this is stuff that you're taught as a kid. And if you're making kid mistakes over and over and over again, that's like, you don't care. Like you're not putting in the efforts because you're a freaking pro, and whatever the hell money you want a week. I mean, that's just freaking like ridiculous. But, that was really the only downer of the game. I felt like that's the only thing we gave them, like to do that along the side. And, dude, to be fair, I wasn't going to go there until freaking Matush over here started to make excuses, as always.
Excuses. I was just saying that the dribbles past metric doesn't always mean anything. It doesn't always mean something.
But I don't think you're understanding dribbled past and dribbled along. Like forcing a guy outside doesn't count as dribbled past. Forcing a guy outside and then suddenly he's in the box by himself and you're in the corner like, where did he go? That was fast. And then, like he goes, but that's being dribbled past when he can get past them and actually cross the ball. Forcing a guy outside is not really, that's not out of the 11. That's the sad part. The 11 is not that. 11 is when freaking he's dancing. Like Doku's dancing, Trent dives in.
I don't know
Doku's
if that's true all the way.
Oh,
so
I can guarantee. Otherwise, I mean, how many times does Van Dijk escort people? Like, forcing a guy outside, like I say, it says, like, let's go check out the touchline together. Where's the corner flag? Let's go over there and check it out. That's what, and that doesn't count like
okay. Maybe I should say he gave him the outside, not forced him outside.
But there is no inside. See, this is not what I'm not understanding here. There is no inside. You have help inside. When you have help inside, there's no way in hell the guy should have outside because there's no outside.
No, you can't say that because you can. How many times has Mo cut in inside and scored or assisted? But there's help inside. It doesn't work that way always.
No. There is. I'll show you. I should make like a clip of like 10 different situations from this game where Gravenberg or somebody standing to his left, like immediately to his left, in front of Doku. So Doku can't go that way because Gravenberg is right there. So the only way Doku can go is wide. So you're like, okay, let's go. I mean, I know where you're going because you can't go the other way. Let's go. For that guy to beat you going wide isn't inexcusable. It is inexcusable. I don't care how fast he is. I don't care if he's a magician. It's like there is no way. Maybe it happens once, but it does not happen 11 freaking times where the guy is suddenly down the line and crossing the ball. Nah, I'm not buying it. That 11, I don't think you understand that the 11 is not counting when you force the guy outside and run alongside him. 11 is when you see Doku's number because he's past you. And you're just kidding, like he's like, oh, that's what he wears and stuff. So yeah, I'm not buying. Even Saido is happy. I'm happy too, except Matoush got me going this morning, so I blame Matoush. Yesterday was the first time recently where I felt City. So is that our defending or is that City? You think? Is that our shape both. And? Wow. You know what the funny thing is though? I was watching like a show yesterday. I think it was like CBS talking about the game, and they were asking the dude questions. Is it this or that? And he gave him Matoush answer to like 5 questions in a row. I would say it's a little bit of both.
Because it's true.
So let's talk about this. Let me put this on this screen, and then actually this is going to go with the graph you have as well. See, Steven says both, dude.
Please, let's not talk about our midfield being poor. I'm so tired of this stupid conversation.
How was our midfield poor? It's the midfield that defended. I think people don't understand what the midfield is. Okay, let's go with this. This is the last. Taco is already singing. So, when will you start singing along with Taco for the title songs?
Oh my God. Well, I mean,
we're up 11 points with the game in hands. I agree. I mean, it's the midfield that carried it. I just covered Trent wasn't defending, so it was midfield's defending because there was no way up to middle. Like there was no way up to middle.
There was no midfield for City the entire game. That was everything. That was the entire match.
There were times it almost looked like, and I've been there, done that, right? Like because sometimes as a sweeper, you're like, oh look, like if I push up here, there's a ton of empty space, and the moment you do it, it suddenly collapses. You're like, oh shit, like what did I just go into? There were so many times it would look like they could step up and have space, and suddenly there'd be like 4 Liverpool players right in the middle of them, and then we would nick the ball away and stuff. It was just, I thought it was ridiculously good defending. It would frustrate the heck out of us if the shoe was on the other foot kind of thing. But look at this lineup right here. What you got? Up by 11 points. Their game in hand ends up being a Chelsea game, which is, I don't know, similar to our Everton away in that sense, I think, right?
Yeah. I mean, I'm counting it as 1 point for them right now, just in my head. So I'm thinking about it as a 10-point gap. So ideally,
I'm the pessimist. I counted it as a 3 just in case. So we're up by 8 points. I mean, all things equal, we were up by 8 points. We managed to get a very difficult away game out of the way with a 3-pointer.
Yeah, and I mean, 7 out of the last 11 matches are at Anfield, which is a huge boost for us. I mean, they've got 3 of their last 5 are at home, but we're in the same situation there too. So I think in a perfect world, we were talking about it before the show, after the West Ham match, we're crowned. But more realistically, I'm thinking maybe after the Spurs match would be Spurs or Chelsea. I think I mathematically would see it being done there, hopefully.
Okay, let's ask the audience over here. When will it be? Okay, I'm assuming at this point, I know everybody, aside from the over paranoids, which includes me. But even I am like, I think this is pretty much done. And I think it's not because of the point differential. I'm not saying it's done because of the point differential. I think I would still be paranoid if it was City like 2 years ago or something like that. And but because of how they're playing, like I don't think they're winning every freaking game. So that's why I think I'm a bit more confident than I normally would be, just based on math alone. I think like we're looking at like different factors over here. Arsenal Guard of Honor seems in the bag, right?
Because that gives you 9 points, right? So anything 10 points or more at that point, and that's it. So how great would it be just a Guard of Honor from Spurs through Palace, right? How wonderful would that be?
Yeah, Spurs I don't care as much about. I would like to get Enzo Fernandez give us a Guard of Honor, so that'd be nice. But for Arsenal especially, yeah, Arsenal would be such a joy. And I really think 9 points should be it. I mean, let's put this up because you brought it into the mix over here. So days since teams lost a Premier League home game by 2+ goals. And we are... So the Liverpool underneath, I assume, I mean, that's not going to expand anymore because that's COVID days.
Yeah.
Right? So with how many days is that, dude?
33,467. That's a little less than 10 years, 9 years.
That's freaking crazy. Way to jinx it. But that's freaking like crazy. So if this gets jinxed on Wednesday, we can all blame Mateusz over here. But even if you lose half of our games for on or not, we still win everyone else's form. Yeah, I think that's where I'm at too. You look at this, I just don't see them going on a run, winning every game. They don't see themselves going on a run, win every game. Leave alone, come to Anfield and win, where they have not. Let's say, they pull a miracle that, we haven't done well at Etihad either, but we got the win. But I just don't see... I mean, they have games over there. Even like, Ipswich away is a pain in the ass game for a team like Arsenal right now. And I think
Everton away. That's tough.
Dude, here's the thing, right? There are no easy games in the Premier League. I know it sounds cliche, but the ball is round, or throw the record at when these two teams meet. But you see from the West Ham game, you can never say, oh, that's a 3-pointer right there, and move on with it, because you never freaking know. There's like we were talking about this in another podcast yesterday, like how like fat the league is in terms of like the middle is so stacked, like there's like 4 or 5 points differential, because I think there's so many teams in there that have players that can hurt you. And if you're not on your game, if you make a mistake, and especially when you can't score goals, you will lose points. So I think that's why I'm confident. But let's go back to this calendar over here. When did you say? After the West Ham game, or you said after the Spurs?
I mean, that's what you...
Mathematically, when will you're gonna sing after the West Ham game?
I mean, I've already started humming it in my head, but mathematically, because I want to be... There needs to be a 100% chance. I can't be 99.9%. It has to be mathematically clinched. So I am going to say after the Chelsea game is when I would expect it mathematically, because I think if there's still that 10-point gap, then it's done. So that's where I'm going to say mathematically.
Mathematically in stone when? I'm sorry?
After Chelsea.
After Chelsea. So you're saying we're only going to win by 9 points.
9 to 11. Yeah. Well, okay. I mean, yeah, because even if it's mathematically done, so mathematically done after Chelsea means that we're 10 points clear of Arsenal at that point. And I think we'll beat Arsenal at home after they give us a Guard of Honor. So that's 13 there. So I think we win the league by at least 7 points.
This is Queen Old, we are the champions. Yeah, I felt like, it's funny like he says that, because I almost like, you could hear that faintly playing in the background in the last few seconds of that game yesterday, because it's, and Taco says we'll win by 8. One thing, and I'll ask you this, and I guess, now we have PSG. I got to look at the dates. I don't know the exact dates of the games, but the only reason I feel like it won't be as many as it can be because Arsenal will lose points. I think we will have the luxury of being able to rotate before Champions League games. And I'm not talking a full rotation, but like a slot rotates, like 3-4 guys. Maybe instead of Robertson, you play Costas or something like that. So you almost plan your starting 11 for Wednesday and play the weekend accordingly. And if you don't beat Leicester away, so be it, because you're already up by 12 points.
Don't say that to some of the fans of this team. For some people, if you don't win every single game of every single year, it's a failure of a club, and everyone should be sold, and the ownership should change. So be careful with some of the things you say, Timochin.
Is that because of the last 3-4 years? Because the league has become. It wasn't like this before. I mean, I remember. You don't. You're young, but not that young anymore. Actually, you might remember. But that an away draw was not too shabby. That was actually a decent draw. You had to I remember you had to win at home, draw away, and you were in good shape. You were in the title race. Whereas now, because of what City has done along with us over the last 3-4 years, people think you gotta win every single game, and if you do not, you're in deep shit. Whereas this is more normalcy. I feel like right here, mind you, even this is not normalcy. We've lost once all freaking season.
Right. Yeah, it's not normal. And yeah, I guess my question to you is if social media was as readily available now as it was, let's say, in the mid 2000s, would you still have people come out of the woodworks and still complain after every single loss anyway? Because I think we would. I think what's changed is that the voices have just become easier to hear because they're everywhere.
You think so? Really? I feel like expectations have changed too, though.
I think, yes, I think it's both. I think that because of the last 5 years, the last 5, 6, 7 years, where City and Liverpool have gone back and forth, needing to get 98 points to win a league, and it's just gone to that point that it feels like video game numbers. At the same time, though, I think people complain about social media now, this and that. I think people would have said the same things 20, 30, 40, 50 years ago if they had a way to say it. Everyone always wants to get their voices heard. They always want to say something. So I think it would have existed regardless.
Yeah, you might be right. I just don't think it would be when you get that when it's a draw and stuff now. I don't think you would as bad when it's a draw. People just go, yeah, Taco is calling you out on your F-bomb over here. Nice job. Okay, now I know Taco's trolling me.
No.
We're not. I'm lying. Yes, I refuse to do contract talk. When people say contract, I give them 45 seconds to give me something new on the contracts. If they don't have anything new, we just move on, because I'm still at the 2 in, 1 out scenario. And with what we've seen yesterday, in terms of how many times he got dribbled past, at this point, I'm okay with it. I'm sorry, forcing people out, not dribble past.
1,000 pounds a week deduction for every time you're dribbled past.
Yeah, see, thank God. It's just I don't know. Even yesterday, people trying to find something. They were like, they gotta sign him. I mean, what are we gonna do next year and stuff? Fans can be insufferable when it comes to that. It's just gotta enjoy the moment. I mean, what we did yesterday, dude, this freaking weekend was just like a 6-pointer, 9-pointer, whatever you want to call it. It's an away game at City, and being able to get that is freaking huge. I did not expect this weekend to unfold like this at all. Well, I know Arsenal fans didn't either. So, but yeah, let's go back to this real quick. Newcastle home, like I say, I hope they win for the sake of our boys who are at the game over there. Honestly, I don't know why, but Southampton home is one of those games that just looks too easy on paper, and that's what really worries me and stuff like that. But I look at more at Arsenal, dude. I know we should be looking at ourselves and stuff, but Forest away. Are you being attacked by wolves in the background, or a wild pack of wolves in the background? Okay. Give me Arsenal's next 3 fixtures there. Forest away, United away, Chelsea home. How many points do you think they get out of that?
0. Just kidding.
I think it's both.
What'd you say?
I think it's both. They can get 9 and 0.
Both points. I think you get anywhere between 0 and 9. That's mathematically possible.
British culture where you get all the answers.
I mean, this would be the one time where I would want United to find some bit of form. Give their fans something to cheer about while giving us something to cheer about. So in my heart, 0 would be amazing. In my head, I think I said 5 on the Discord channel. Good. I'm thinking a win and 2 draws.
Damn, John's going with 2.
Yeah, if they get 2 out of the next 9, I'm
to be fair, John
running down the streets.
So he's probably on medication of some sort. That could be skewing his thinking. 2 is low, man. Are you serious? I mean, here's the thing. It's like, can we put any stock in like what United will do? Because I think United's against us is different than United against Arsenal. Like there's more it's like Everton. You know what I mean? Like there's more at stake to get Liverpool.
But contextually, you have to think about how awful of a season United are having. And they're playing at home against an Arsenal side like this. They're going to need a result against Arsenal for any sort of gosh darn it.
I'm not gonna do it. I know what you're saying, but I'm just gonna watch you suffer. Go ahead.
Any sort of no, please stop. Everyone, any sort of consolation here. So United are having such a bad season that when they play Arsenal at home, they're going to need a result for any sort of consolation for this year. Because
consolation was the word we were looking for.
All right, rewind it. So Arsenal's having such a no, United are having such a I don't even know what's going on anymore, man.
This shit is not edited, man.
Why are we
live, baby? Yeah, but okay, needs and being capable of doing is different. They needed a win for some respectability. I thought that's why the word you were looking for, actually. Against Crystal Palace too, but they got killed. You know what I mean? I just don't think they have. It's one thing to need it and be important. It's another to have the capability of doing like that. I know they don't have any attackers, like John says, but United doesn't really have that much of a defense right now, especially when they play at home where they can't like really sit back and park the bus and stuff like that. I don't know. I know what you're saying. John says United, they will play for pride. Chelsea, yes. But I mean, in both cases, are they good enough? I guess it goes back to is Arsenal good enough either? And we saw against West Ham. I think that's, the recipe is out there. PSV is probably looking at that saying like, oh, okay. And then what's that kid's name? Bakayoko or whatever. Like he'll just be running. He's like, I'll counter. I'll sit up here. You guys defend.
I think PSV have a genuine chance to beat Arsenal over 2 legs. I really do. I know that we talked about Arsenal getting an easier draw, which they did. When you compare PSV to PSG, you change those 2 letters. That's a big difference. But I think ultimately with their form and who they have available and how well PSV can play, I think there's a genuine upset chance there.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing is this probably makes them realize this weekend, right? I think it would be different if they were still more in the mix. Like they beat against West Ham, they'd be more in the mix. I think they know now this is the only thing they have left for the season.
So you put all your eggs in that basket, sure. So yeah, I get that. But you also, because you put your eggs in those baskets, doesn't mean that you're getting new eggs. You have the same eggs. So those eggs are rotten. And just because you put them in that basket doesn't necessarily help. Speaking of baskets,
this analogy went so. It's almost like the basket has a hole, Tim, and some of the eggs are rotten. Okay. Yeah. Speaking of baskets, let's watch this comedy.
Comedy for anyone who's new here on Monday. We're having a new segment, shameless plugs of the greatest basketball plays.
Yeah, we're trying to get Mateusz a contract. If anybody needs the Polish. What do you play? Is that a small forward you're playing over there?
No, I play the point.
Really? Aren't you a bit tall for the point? Or does everybody else suck at passing? Just be honest.
Isn't Luka Doncic a bit tall for the point? It's like
not compared to everybody else. I mean, you look like you're one of the taller guys out there.
I am, but I've always played with bringing the ball up and the ball in my hand, so that's what I'm just used to. I don't
want to get in the middle and do the dirty work.
I don't play well in the post, so no.
Okay, yeah, let's take it. Yeah, we're trying to get him a. I remember actually like years ago, and they still do this, but for the audience, I remember reading like the paper. So this is that long ago with the Major League Soccer, and there was a quote from the Chicago Fire, like director of recruiting or whatever. They're like, "Are you done for the season?" It was like the season opener is coming, and the guy said, "No, we're looking to sign one more Polish player." And it didn't matter where he played or who he was or whatever. It's just like, we just need a Polish guy on the team. So if you're in the same predicament over here and you need a Polish basketball player in your team for one reason or another, we're going to make it cool over here. Hold on, where'd you go? Where you at? Oh, look at that. Look at that behind the back. LeBron-like, if you will. Great backdoor cut.
Yeah, the cut is what makes it, because without that cut, there's no pass, right? So I make sure to tell my teammates, "Hey, great cut." I told him, "Great cut," because I can't pass it if no one's moving.
Famous last.
If you do fast forward it, there's a little slow-mo version for all the fans out there. Maybe they'd want to see
all three of you guys. There you go. Here he is.
The sound is great.
I like how everybody's wearing white.
Ours is kind of cream.
Yeah, who's the genius that said, okay, one team is wearing white. Who has white pennies so that we can really differentiate the other team over here?
Well, okay, I know on the screen it looks very similar, but actually on the court, there was enough of a difference. You could tell the cream and the blue versus the white a little bit better. But yeah, okay. This wasn't a great. Usually teams come with both colors. Especially we have jerseys that are all the same, but the other teams, this team specifically, they don't. They just have a bunch of collection of stuff. So it didn't look great.
I find it hard to respect a guy who plays with pants. This is just
he is the best shooter on the court right now, to be honest with you. He hit 6 or 7 threes. No, he's a shooter. He's a really good shooter. And the tall guy, so I'm not the tallest, because the tall guy that's in front of me, I actually coached him a few years ago at a high school. He was a sophomore in high school a few years ago. He's not that great, but he's a really nice kid.
Okay, looking at your team, you playing points who's the coach around here?
Me.
But now looking at the opponents, we understand why you're not playing in the middle, because that dude is going to put you in his pockets and just like take you for a ride. You can maybe push him outside as he's dunking on you on the basket.
Didn't let him score.
By the way, he says you were offside on that one. So
I had the ball.
That came back right before you received the ball. It was just like crossing over, coming back.
Steven's impressed. That's all I care about. If John was here, he'd be impressed too. We got to. To
be fair, Steve was also impressed with how I played, so it's a low bar for Steve. Steve doesn't expect a lot from the crew over here. Well, it is Monday, so what are we doing? Who's getting groomed over here? You're in an undisclosed location in Chicagoland again. When are we? Like, is the palace being built, or like, what are we doing over here?
Dude, I don't know. I wish.
Did I hit a sore spot?
Yeah, I mean, there's not much coming out. Anything that comes out gets swooped up right away.
Really?
It's a tough market right now. It's very much a seller's market. And so
billionaire problems. I hear you, brother.
Yeah. I don't know if that's quite a millionaire problem, so to speak, but it is what it is. So it's difficult when you don't get a chance to go see something and then they've already accepted an offer by the second day it's been up on the market, right? So it's it hasn't been easy, but we're taking it one day at a time. So
one match at a time. I was going to talk about that actually, like before we go, because I think that's like a great point. That's there wasn't any of this I don't watch like the full videos. I don't watch a lot of like studio stuff and all that stuff like last night about like what people were saying about the game. But I think it really helps. And this is the difference, I think. This is why I feel like Arteta is the guy before the guy, because I think his mentality and how he approaches everything is really, the manager always reflects on the team one way or the other, right? And I think his like winning one and acting like, we want it all, that's a lot of ups. You can't have that many ups in a long season over here and maintain that. So I kind of really like the overall. You can see Van Dijk is the perfect captain. I was talking about this yesterday, like how Henderson felt like the perfect captain for Klopp, right? Like same yelling, screaming, running constantly, like that kind of like a Tasmanian devil thing going. Whereas it feels like Van Dijk is the perfect captain for Klopp. But even yesterday, I did not catch it. I think it was Steve Nicol. Of all things, Steve Nicol said something that was semi-worthy. So, like, if you watch after the goal, the first goal that we score, he's talking to the entire midfield, actually. Steve said it was like Curtis Jones. He's having a go at Curtis Jones, Steve said. But Steve must have tuned out afterwards because he's actually, then he grabs Gravenberg. I feel like he's really having a go at Gravenberg in terms of where people should be and stuff like that. I think it was a couple of weeks ago when Gakpo scored a goal that tied it up or whatever, and he didn't even go over there to celebrate. He's usually the last guy to come and last guy to celebrate with the goal scorer and stuff. He didn't even go there. He was calling him over. I really like the overall business-like approach, and it helps to have a guy like Mo and Van Dijk and stuff like that, like Robertson, who've been there, done that, who can say, calm the hell down next game. They can actually say next game up.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I think that's absolutely true. And it's the same way we've talked about, during the Klopp era, those early kickoff games when you're sitting there complaining about them and talking about how you don't want to do them and how you have so many of them and how it's unfair to do that. Then the players start thinking, oh, well, it is unfair to us. We don't like this. We shouldn't be doing this. And then Slot comes in and goes, no. I mean, it's the game scheduled at the time. You play at the time. We're professionals. We go. And so Arteta very much, being the kind of personality he is, when that does bleed across the club, it, like you said, very high highs, but very low lows, because that is just, it's a lot. It's a lot of emotionally.
Yeah, it's a lot of like, whoa, kind of like, and it could have been yesterday, really. I mean, it felt like that to us, but I kind of like, we're fans. We can afford to kind of lose our heads, one way or the other for most of us. But, it's okay for us, but the team has to stay composed and focus on the next one and stuff like that. So I really kind of like how they're approaching it. And obviously it comes all from Slot and stuff like that. But you can kind of tell, man, I think, when was it that, even like, I think Angie mentioned that we were watching, maybe it was the Villa game, actually. The way like Van Dijk celebrated a goal, like back, he was like in the back still, like celebrating to himself. And you were like you can tell these guys know they're really close. And, like they're getting closer and closer with every win. They know it. So it's, good times. Good times are being held by all. Good times will be had by all tonight, too. 7 o'clock Central, 8 o'clock Eastern. Pickler, Galley, what can go wrong? A lot can go wrong. But what are we doing? Who's getting groomed? We missed out on that.
No one today.
Practicing your behind the ball, like, passes, or what are we doing?
I don't need to practice. I don't need to practice. That just comes off naturally.
Just force them out. But anyway, so what does Prince do on a day like this? Where
I'll go outside. I'll look up into the clouds. I'll take the 40-degree weather and I'll start singing "We Are the Champions" all day, along with Steven. That's what today is, baby.
When you're not a prince, you got to get to work. So I'll get to work. And actually, you know what? Fenerbahce plays Galatasaray in an hour.
Oh,
so, yeah. I'm not looking forward to it at all. The first time, actually, they have foreign refs from the Slovenian. The dude, actually, who did Liverpool game like 3 games ago or something like that, because I was like looking at it. But, yeah, it should be interesting, stressful. I might break a couple of things. We'll see how that goes. But either way, I should be still available to come on air tonight at 7 o'clock Central, 8 o'clock Eastern with the boys. And we'll see you guys then. Have a great week, everybody. Enjoy the ride. Take care.